Hi, welcome to Truth in Bikinis podcast. This is a podcast where we undress reality and we give voice to the silence. My name is Nita Rare. I am the talk queen and I am your host. But I'm not going to be doing this alone today. With me in the house is a very interesting guest. I can't even wait to bring her on board because we're having a very lengthy discussion and we hope to be able to encapsulate all of that interesting juice in our conversation today. Welcome, Blessing. It's so good to have you.
Thank you so much, Nita. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. So how's your morning going?
My morning is going well. It's actually cool, which I love so much.
I'm not surprised. Blessing does not stay in Nigeria, so she cannot relate to all the heat that we're experiencing. Anyway, it's good to have you, Blessing. Welcome. So tell us about yourself. Tell us about, your journey, what you do, how it's been for you. Just take us through your journey till this point, briefly.
Thank you, Anita. So my name is Blessing Akpan, and I'm a social entrepreneur, and I'm an education innovator and also a program manager. My journey started earlier in 2018. I've always been passionate about education innovation. And also being someone who grew up experiencing education inequality, I had to, put all those experiences together to see how I can remove the barriers for other young people who come after me. So I got into education space, founding a nonprofit organization, the Innovative Child Network, and providing educational resources and skills-based learning opportunities for young people in rural communities in Akwa Ibom State and across Nigeria. And currently, I am I'm working as a program manager in an educational organization, providing resources for Nigerians. And I'm also a second-year student. I'm studying entrepreneurial leadership at the African Leadership University in Kigali.
Wow.
And I think one of my goals is to leverage my skills and empower young people who would love to also impact their communities, impact the environment through social impact projects, startups, and ventures. And I think those are just serious parts. The fun part about me is that when I'm not working, I play badminton.
Nice.
Yes, I love sitcom series a lot. I think the Big
What's
Bang
your favorite?
The Big Bang Theory. So that's just briefly about me.
Wow, that's a very interesting. I told you she's an intriguing person. You see, I have a way to describe every single person. When I call a person intriguing, it's because I've thought about it and I'm like, this person is intriguing. I followed your journey. I love to follow people's journeys.
That's
when you said,
interesting.
yes, I have. When you said 2018, it makes me relate to my journey because I'm like, I've been telling myself that it does not take a long time for you to be established in your field. It just takes consistency.
Definitely.
It takes consistency. So when I come from 2018 to 2024, and I look at the years, it's not that long. It's just about consistency, right? And always availing yourself for the right opportunity. So talking of opportunities, our topic for today is exposure versus exploitation. Why does everyone expect young creatives to work for free? Now you can understand why I brought Blessing on the show today, because she is very fit to talk about this. So exposure versus exploitation. Why does everybody think young creatives should be working for free? I mean, I'm a young creative myself. I'm a spoken word artist. I have a lot of awards to my name. I'm a voice actor. I'm really good. I mean, I'm the talk queen. I talk. So most of the experiences that I have had when I started out initially, I had a lot of people who said they're going to give me platform. That's the word they use. I'll give you platform. This is going to give you exposure. Or they'll say, you don't know who is going to be there. Just do it. I am not joking. Just do it. And this is something that I believe every creative should be able to relate to. At some point, it can reduce. Mine has reduced significantly. In fact, let me tell you something. Recently, somebody came to my inbox and the person said, this is going to go live. Person will see it. I'm sorry, but I have to say it. Person wanted to invite me for I think a poetry hangout kind of thing, spoken word hangout. And the person said that he does not have money So I should just partner with him and just do it. In fact, he expects me to be there. I think he mentioned a particular amount of times in a month.
No benefit at
No
all.
benefits. And he was like, okay, you're like, your transport will be, would attach transport to you.
He didn't even mention the amount.
Yes, he didn't mention the amount. And then, so there's a way I see myself, right? I know that, yes, I still have a long way to go, but I have come a long way. I have come a long way. So person now said that, and I did not reply. You know how you see the message in that view on your screen, on your screen when you swipe down the pop-up, thank you. I saw it in the casket view and I did not say anything. And then an announcement was made on social media with me, and people were congratulating me. Everybody was so happy for me. And somehow, I think it just added something to my social status. This same person now came back inbox and told me that they have a premium package for their elite guests. How much do I charge? Do you get? So we're talking about exposure versus exploitation. So I had to just share that briefly. So, Blessing, what is the because we have to strike a balance. There's a place for exposure. We cannot deny that. As young people, as young creatives, we take the time, we learn, build our skills. But if we never put them to work, they will be of no use. So that's where the exposure and the platform to serve and to use the skills come in. So how do we balance? Where is the place for exposure that does not go beyond exposure into exploitation? Can you help us to create a balance?
Right. So before I go there, I would love to, we've mentioned the word exposure, exploitation. We need to know what is exploitation.
Okay.
Right. First of all, exploitation is, taking undue advantage of someone to benefit from their work.
Totally.
Yeah. Treating them fairly just for what you
unfairly,
stand to
you
gain.
mean?
Yeah, unfairly.
Yeah.
Just for what you stand to gain. And exposure, we all know exposure is giving people platform, giving them a voice, showing their work out there. But of course, there is a place for exposure and exploitation. All right. So how do we know when there is exposure and exploitation? Exploitation is more of one side. It's one-sided. Getting to, for instance, working with someone and, they stand to gain more than you stand to gain from that relationship.
Yeah.
I would say that is exploitation. Secondly, exploitation happens when, during the relationship, you don't get to improve your skills, right? You don't get to access opportunities. You don't get to say, stand back and review and tell yourself, oh, my life has really changed because of this opportunity. And then the place of exposure, I would say, like we had spoken earlier, it's two-sided. Talking about the creative and the employer, right? The employer could be the one exploiting, and then the creative, his or herself, could be the one putting themselves in that situation.
Like enabling the exploitation.
Yes, enabling the exploitation.
Okay.
And I also want to state here that not all unpaid work are exploitative.
Yes.
Right?
Totally.
And not all paid work are not exploitative.
Yeah.
Someone can still pay you and they're still exploiting you. Right? Someone can be in a situation where they're not paying you and then they're not exploiting you. It happens. So we just need to know the difference. Okay. All right. So wrapping it up, as someone who be in a situation where you are getting exposure, I would say that the relationship is two-sided. What you are getting is two-sided. The person who is employing you is getting something, and you're also getting something in return. And you're also valued. They value your time. They do not just, it's not about what you bring to the table, right? It's about, because all of us, we have our own personal lives, right? If they only focus on your personal life, I would say, no, it's the other way. But of course, when they know that, of course, as a person, that you also have your life outside of work. I would say someone that is also values your personal development as well.
Yeah, that's true. So speaking of, you talked about the fact that there can be benefits to unpaid work. And then I like the point that you made where you were like, so because somebody is paying you doesn't mean they're not exploiting you. And not all unpaid work is exploitative. Now, to come to that, let's talk about the benefits and the drawbacks of offering free work. Because growing up in my field as a creative, what I learned was that I had to build my portfolio. And how do you build portfolio when nobody has trusted you? Right? So there's got to be a place where you can offer your services either for free or in return for something, no matter how little, that can help you to build your portfolio. I remember when I began writing, doing technical writing for businesses, for blogs, for websites. At first, I wasn't getting paid so much. I wasn't getting paid so much, but I did it because I wanted to build my profile. Today, I have my work on websites that you can't come and tell me I want to test you. If you want to test me, I'll redirect you to the website where I have written for, and then you see it. If it's good enough, we can talk. If it's not good enough, we can walk. You understand? So now let's talk about the benefits and the drawbacks of offering free work or internships. Let me not go there. Unpaid, yeah. So free work or internship or unpaid work to young creatives. What are the benefits and the drawbacks?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the benefits first. So the benefits of offering unpaid work or internship to creative. Number one, if there's someone who is starting out, it would help them, build themselves gradually. Like my parents usually say that the fall is harder when you climb higher. The ladder.
Could you say that again?
Yes, that the fall is harder when you climb higher.
Wow.
The ladder.
Okay.
So it gives you a soft landing should in case you do something wrong. At that point, they will know, okay, you are learning. You are still learning. Yeah. No one is expecting so much of you. Yeah. Because, of course, they are not being paid and they just expect you to do it once at a time. So at that opportunity you are given, you need to grasp it with both hands and ensure that every task that you need to carry out, that you do it to the best of your ability, that you really, really sit down to learn. So that is the benefit of offering unpaid work. It allows people who are not really versed in their skills to, learn about the work. Now, the drawback of offering unpaid internship work is that, number one, it's people spend so much time to learn, right? And then money, their mental capability, and then you just come and just tell them you want to give them unpaid work. How are they going to elevate themselves? How are they going to assess the resource they need to continue learning? And then it affects people's self-esteem when you come to tell them, oh, we are offering you a job but it's not paid, or an internship.
How is that a job if it's not paid?
Well, okay, let's call it internship actually, but it's not paid. Or maybe you are even the one paying for the internship.
There are those kinds of internships. It's unfair. It's actually unfair, especially since you are a young person who has learned to a considerable level and you know that you have a value to give. So number one is the self-esteem. It reduces someone's self-esteem. And then it's also reduces the time at which the person is able to, show out there, come out there to say, oh, I really know this thing. Because when you keep offering a task that is unpaid, they will feel they are not good enough and they have to sit back. Except it's someone that really has intrinsic motivation, that without external influences, right? But for someone who are relying on external motivation, extrinsic motivation, it will really dampen their motivation and they will just have to wait till when they are paid. Then they know that, oh, they are, they are able to, go out there because, of course, they are paid. Yeah, so we can say that that's because money is the language of value in our realm. If you say that something is valuable, it has to have finances attached to it.
It's not even just finances. It's not, when I mentioned before, it's not just about the money itself.
When I say okay, maybe I should have said monetary plus other benefits, because there's material benefits. And like you mentioned too, there has to be opportunity for growth. So the opportunity, see, I think that the word opportunity is a clickbait in our time. Yes. For most of, like in the let me put it in context of what we're talking about, exploitation. For exploitative employers, opportunity is a clickbait for young creatives who do not totally understand the value of what they're bringing to the table, or who do not even know that, oh, I'm bringing value. It's they see it like you're doing them a favor, right? So when we use opportunity is a word that is a buzzword in this space. We use it so often that thousands of internships, thousands of opportunities, and becoming cliche, right? And you know, these people are working for you. They're bringing something to you. Their contribution is the reason your organization is moving.
It's moving, yeah.
But you do not take time to appreciate that. Okay, let's say you're not even paying them. Maybe stipends or maybe transportation. That's out of it, you're not. But what are the opportunities that this young person can access to grow? Because you see, like you said, they burned data. Like I think I was sharing and I was like, when I was trying to develop myself as a speaker, I would stay up all night. I would download tons and tons and tons of videos. I would watch and listen, take notes. I was buying data. I was staying up. My health was getting affected. My mental health was getting affected. Everything was going into it. And then I come out to you with all the skill and all the capacity that I have built. And then you tell me, I will give you a platform. And this is the era of the internet where I don't need a physical platform.
And oftentimes the platform does not come. You don't see it.
Right?
You don't see it. And sometimes the platform is basically just you working and working and working. Or if you are working virtually, maybe if they are, for example, if you're a social media manager and they'll just tell you, oh, this person is my social media manager, and that is all of it. That's just all. That's it. Or if you're a graphics designer and then they post your design and just say this is designed by this, and that's the exposure that they're giving you.
So to take you up on everything that we have said so far, I have experiences as a creative that still pain me till date. I have gone to places that I should not have gone to. You know, when you're passionate about something, you will do anything or almost anything because passion is driving you. It's like a fuel. It's going to drive you. I have traveled. I can't remember the road, but I've never been to that place before. I traveled. The man said he was going to give me a platform. And that on that platform that I was going to meet, he mentioned some top people, you know, ministers, statesmen and all of that. Do you know that this man told me that, in fact, I was on naive me, I didn't even ask. I was just starting there and I didn't even ask him and say, oh God, this thing you say we're going to do. You have the brochure, right? You have the events, what's it called? The book. The order of events. I want to see my name. He showed me an e-print. I believed him and we went. We traveled almost an hour to get to that place. When I got to that place, my name was not on the order of events.
Something to draw you.
Oh my Jesus. My name was not on the order of events. And guess what? Guess what? They told me to come back the next day.
After spending
it was by transport. I was the one that paid.
And did not give you transportation.
Did not give me any transportation. That's just one. There's another part where they're like, because we want to give you platform, come. Hey. Because that platform now will wait for you. As we're waiting for you now. Waiting for you means that as a spoken word artist now, I'm talking for spoken word artist, you will perform last when the DJ is playing the loudest music and people are leaving. Imagine what that does to the self-esteem of the creative. He's sending several messages. One, I'm not important. What you have to offer does not count. Nobody really cares about what you're bringing to the table, right? And I know I have tons and tons of experiences, and I know you have them as well.
And the worst part is the ones who get your work and then ghost you.
Oh, Jesus.
It happened to me here in Uyo. I remember the times when I was consulting for schools on integrating technology into their classrooms.
Wow.
I did a lot of consultation for some schools, and there was this particular school I went to. And funny enough, that day I didn't have any money. I had to borrow someone's to go to that school. And I had carefully prepared slides presentation and based on our interaction on the phone. So she wanted me to come and then present to her. So I did everything. And I was so ignorant. I did everything. And then when I went to her office and we talked and I showed her everything. I even met with her teachers and I showed them everything. I sent the slides presentation to her. After that, this woman ghosted me.
Wow.
Whenever I call her, she wouldn't pick up. And when I go to the school, they'll tell me she's not around. Now, I know.
So you were still spending transport to go back to the school?
I was.
Wow.
And it was down Oron Road, and where I live is very far.
Wow.
And I was so down, and I couldn't even make a fuss about it because we didn't have any form of agreement.
Did she use it?
Yes, she did. There was once I went to social media, and her school, they made this integration of what I had shown them and everything in the school, and they were calling for students.
They were using your work.
They were using my work. And whenever I call her, I wanted to send her, sit down, write out an email or a text and send to her. But after everything, I just decided to let it go. I just told myself that I will never, ever put myself in a situation where someone had to exploit me like that. So young creative is very important. Please, before you do anything, you need to have an agreement.
Yeah.
You need to have an agreement, preferably somewhere that is written, even if it's a WhatsApp written agreement, so that you can take a screenshot and you can hold the person accountable.
Yeah.
Don't just do anything because you are
and creatives are hungry. I mean, I'm okay. Let me rephrase that. Many creatives, especially the ones that are starting out, are hungry. That's why I do not even advise any creative to have just one thing that they're depending on. You can have you can have one thing, but let that thing have different parts. There are different parts. So whatever model of business it is that you're doing, let it be that you have subsidiaries, little subsidiaries that are giving you money. Because if you want to wait for people, you want to wait for many employers, you will starve.
And it's so unfair.
See, I've worked with something happened recently, and I was like, I don't want to work for government. I probably shouldn't say this, but I've had some nasty experiences. It wasn't the government; it was the people that were put in charge of the.
It's always the people.
It was the people. It was the people, and the money had been released. Do you know that we went as far as they put me in charge of the project? I went as far as gathering young people. We came together, shot the video. We shot the video. Edited it, finished it. Do you know what these people did? They wanted us to give it to them to air, and then after they had promised they were going to, they had an amount they were supposed to pay us. We had nothing. We spent transportation. We met for rehearsal for weeks. Do you know I had to use my own money to appease, and thank God they were my people. I had to say, please, I'm so sorry. Take this for your transport, but it was not enough. I felt so pain, and I said, and I was never going to let that happen to me again. And I'm not the only one who has experienced this. There's so many creatives out there. So when we talk about exposure versus exploitation, employers need to understand that with or without you, creatives will get exposure. You know why?
Definitely.
The internet has democratized access. All a person needs to do is to be consistent. So let's imagine this scenario. I don't want to offer my work to people that want to give me exposure and platform.
No.
So I say, okay, I'm going to, instead of wasting that data, paying transport, going to work every day, you're not paying me. I'm going to spend that data, find a workspace in maybe this you.
Yeah.
Create my content, put it out there consistently, target an audience. Do you know that the returns I will get from doing that thing consistently will outweigh the benefit, the so-called benefit and exposure that you wanted to give me, exploiting me by making me come to work every day, and you're not paying me, and I don't even have enough time to go back and learn the very thing that is giving me the skill to offer to you. So what then really are many employers offering to creatives in the name of exposure? You get my line of thoughts.
I get it.
It's something that needs to be looked into, but at the same time we also have to create a balance, because we are talking for creative, we are playing devil's advocate. We also have to create a balance. There are people who are not what's the word he used? Employable.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's also left for those people who are not employable or feel that they are not really there in terms of marketability, right? It's also left for them. Yesterday I have a speaking engagement at the University of Uyo where I told the young people that you have to grow before you blow.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very important to grow before you blow, because when you do that, it will be very easy for you to, assess your worth, right? It's very easy for you to get a platform where you are appreciated for what you bring to the table. But when you just do shabby learning process, and then before you know it, you want to get out there, it blows back on you.
It reminds me, I'm sorry to cut it, it reminds me of this thing where people are just learning something and then they're not even done with learning, they're organizing master classes. They're organizing master classes and teaching others.
It's those people that people really take advantage of, right? When you don't know what you are doing, right? You will be easily taken advantage of. But when you know what you're doing, you know your worth, you know what you can offer, you know, you won't be taken advantage of. Another thing I also want to mention here is that, like we spoke before we started the podcast, that there's a difference between, you know, knowing your worth, having charisma, and
being prideful.
Being prideful, proud, being cocky. Some creatives I know that, okay, they are really good. We know you are good, but you don't have to be over cocky and proud arrogant about it. Someone approaches you and tells you, oh, do this thing for me, or I don't have money to pay you, or I don't have compensation, do this for me. Instead of, you know, lashing out on the person, you have to actually, this is where you school the person of the importance of, you know, appreciating other people's work and letting them know what you're worth. But then I've seen some people who, they don't know how to do that, you know. But when you are able to do that, especially for someone who comes to you and tell you, oh, I want you to do something for me, but they don't pay you, but they would because of the way you approach the situation, they might even rethink their position on, if they didn't used to pay people before who work with them, they will be able to, you know, rethink. It's not just for you, but other people.
Exactly. So approach is everything.
Very important.
Approach is everything. As a creative person, even if you don't want to work with the person because the circumstances are not right for you, you can't be polite about it. You can say, and you're being polite about it can even create an opportunity in the future with that person, another person for you, because you can be like, oh, I would love to take you up on this project, but I feel that what you're offering me may not let me bring out my best. And I do not want to give you something less than excellent. But I believe we can work together sometime in the future with the circumstances aligning in both our favor. But I think we've been able to create a beautiful balance between the exposure versus exploitation. We've played devil's advocate for creatives. But at the same time, we're not against employers of labor because we need them. We need somebody to be able to say, oh, you're doing a great job, and then this can probably open other doors. We're not undermining the importance of, you know, employers who employ creatives. So we've been able to create a balance for that. So who are these people that are exploiting creatives?
Founders of non-profit organizations. It's very, very important. That is, I don't know.
How about startups?
We are building something big. We want you to be part of it.
We're building the next fintech in Africa. It's a global thing, and it would do you good to be part of it while we're just starting. We don't want to make it look really bad, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I have wanted, in fact, recently I wanted to work with somebody as a social media manager, and sincerely, I thought about it. I'm like, what do I want to offer this person? I cannot pay her what is on her rate card. And I maybe I was not in a mental space enough to say, to be able to make her to understand this is what you stand to benefit. And we didn't even get on the bargaining table. But just because I knew I couldn't pay her, I had to refrain. There will be a time I'll still reach out and be like, okay, that thing we talked about, let's go ahead with it. But I'm not going to bring somebody on my team and say, come and work for me. I'll give you exposure. When you do what you do, I'll tell people that you're the one that's not fair. That was
even cliche. I'll give you exposure. It makes me mad. Like, seriously, why would you say that? That word. I remember when my brother was starting graphic design, someone told him, my brother was even good that time. If you see my brother now on social media, you see his work. It's really good. But someone told him, come design for me. He's used the exact word. I'll give you exposure. When he told me, I was mad. Why would you say that?
Exposure is a trigger word for us creatives, please.
Someone that uses light, internet.
Exactly. Data.
Time. It wasn't even his own. And you're telling him, you give him what is, can you define the exposure? Please define it.
I saw a video where somebody was telling, I don't know if you've seen that video. The guy was like, when people tell me they will pay me with exposure, how I'm going to use exposure and pay my bills. And he wrote exposure and put it in a plate. I'm going to eat exposure. I'm going to pay my bills using exposure. I'm going to use the commute using paying with exposure. exposure really is a clickbait for people that don't understand how it works. So we creatives and we the employers of creatives are saying, say no to creative exploitation. Pay young people. If they work for you, find a meeting point on what works for both of you and pay them. They're bringing value to you. Without them, your organization would miss that particular element they're bringing to the picture.
And please, it's important. There should always be an agreement before you start anything.
Definitely.
A written agreement in whatever written form. It's very important. This is to creative. Have a written agreement so that when it's not met, you are able to hold that person accountable.
Yeah.
Do not take word of mouth, no matter who the person is.
Exactly.
Do not take word of mouth. It does not count because you'll not be able to hold the person accountable for it.
It doesn't. Anybody, human beings have 1,000 different shades of gray to them. So anybody can change what they said yesterday. So thank you so much. I absolutely enjoyed myself on this session. Do you have any words to say
I'm going
closing?
to wrap up with a story. I think I shared with you.
Okay.
So we have this famous medicine man in my community a while ago. Whenever he sends his apprentice to carry out incantations and all of that for someone, the person would send the apprentice back without paying. You know what this man would do? In the night, he will carry some fetish things and drop in the person's compound. The same person will run to him in the morning and tell him and ask him to come and watch the spirit.
Oh my God. And they will have to pay him.
And definitely, they would have to pay him.
You don't want us creatives to be like that. Imagine us sabotaging your work because you didn't pay us well. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Thank you so much for sharing that story. It was such a delight to have you, Blessing. We're going to call it a wrap here. Thank you so much. So thank you for watching us. This is Truth in Bikinis podcast. And my name is Nitve. I am the talk queen. I look forward to seeing you next time. Remember, pay creatives. Do not exploit creatives.